Welcome to the Waiting Warriors podcast. As loved ones of first responders and military personnel, we often face life situations and challenges that many others don't experience. And while each of us and our experiences are unique, together we can learn from one another and become stronger in this journey of life. Now let's step out of mediocrity. It's time to thrive.
That sound almost reminds me of Mario Kart racing.
It does, the start of the recording of the audio. So guys, guess what? I have a surprise. Except for it's not a surprise because if you follow on Instagram, I mentioned it on Instagram stories the other day that I was going to hook Austin into doing a podcast.
I wasn't even aware of that.
Sneaky. I'm so sneaky. Not really. It was just yesterday after we had talked about doing this episode. But I wanted to bring Austin on because he's a smart man. He has some tools and some knowledge that I think we can use right now. So welcome to the podcast, Austin. I wanted to give you the same courtesy I give every honored guest.
Thanks.
So right now, if you're listening later on in the future, right now we're on like week 3 of this whole COVID-19 coronavirus experience. Pandemic.
Progressive lockdown or whatever. Yeah. Depending on what state you're in.
Yeah. So for us, school got out like 3 weeks ago. And then a week ago on base, it was made essential personnel. A week or two, yeah. Yeah, essential personnel. But Austin's still been working from home. I know every job, it looks totally different. I wanted to bring Austin on because I feel like there's a lot of similarities to what we're experiencing right now with reintegration. And I know you have wise knowledge and we have experience.
You give me too much credit. So I'm knowledgeable and have wise knowledge.
Or what? Isn't that like a movie, like the one with wise knowledge and... Oh, man. I'll have to think of that quote. Anyways, I feel like we're experiencing similar things to reintegration because we have had a certain life and we have a certain normal, and now we're needing to build a different normal. And I know as couples, that means that we need to do a few things that I know even us, like, this is not our first rodeo. We've been married almost 8 years, and still I caught myself.
8 years on what day?
The 12th.
No!
No, dang it!
On the 7th. Haha. I even got you on a recording saying the wrong day. It was 2012, April 7th. Just saying. That's twice now. Okay, I gotcha.
So our anniversary is 4/7/12. That's how I remember it. And like, it's my part of my email is 4/7/12. Like, I use it to my ring like has 7 diamonds and then 12 diamonds, and I want to get like a 4. Anyways, 4/7/12. I know that number, but then I was writing on the calendar. The girl's we have a few birthdays in April, and I was writing our anniversary, and
on the wrong day
because I saw that Easter's the 12th, and I was like, oh, 4/12. That's so cool. Easter's our anniversary, and I wrote it all pretty with colors, and then he came home. I'm a really good wife, even though I wrote our anniversary.
Oh, how the tables have turned in society. Where the man remembers the anniversary.
Yes. We're the opposite. Sorry. I love you. I love you so much. But, so that's one of the mistakes I made. Another mistake I made was that we know from years...
That had nothing to do with coronavirus, though. I'm just saying.
No, it didn't. But another mistake I made, though, even though I know I should talk about my expectations, is I was, like, getting frustrated with you, even though you did nothing wrong. And then I realized, I don't even know what happened, but I clicked in my head that I realized that I was only upset at you because I hadn't been expressing my expectations. Regarding
the change to teleworking and the change in work schedules.
Yeah. But like, why is that such a big deal though? Like, why Why can't you just know what I need?
It's a trap. It's not a question that can be answered.
Okay, but that's a question that how many women have of their
No,
husbands.
and actually it is a question that does have answers. And I do not claim to be a marriage expert or the authority on anything really. But really, I mean, if we're thinking things and we're starting to get kind of twisted up about, you know, X, Y, or Z, and then we pause and realize whether or not we've actually said it out loud and come to notice that we haven't said it out loud, then we're really kind of at fault.
Yeah. Not that we need to point fingers,
no, but I mean, you know, the transition's been evolving over the last few weeks, and everyone's work situation is different, but as far as military personnel and civilian contractors, anyone that's associated with a base knows that things have changed to one degree or another. And so this progressive change for me, and, you know, part-time with the soldiers or command team, and part-time teleworking from home, and conference calls, and doing briefings over different mediums, you know, in person or really more so telephonic or through the laptop, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, where I'm home but I'm not home, right? And how you think because I'm physically here, I should maybe be physically helping
hands-on
in X, Y, or Z, when really I might be physically here, but I am quote unquote at work, right? Where I'm not actually here. Just kind of like when growing up, sometimes it would be said when Lee would get home, I'm home, but I'm not home. Yeah. Or no, he would say, I'm not home. That's what he'd get home and he'd yell out, I'm not home, and then go up to the home office.
And you guys just knew.
And life would just continue on as if he were out working. Yeah. Right?
Which we have done a few times, like in the past when you've come home at 3:30 or 4 or whatever, but it was because you had to go up to the office to do something specific. So that is, I like that idea though. Just be like, okay, let's put a label. Can we just tape a label on our foreheads of whether you're home or not? No. Yes. Something. So that's, or maybe just talking about it, you know, make it simple.
And that's like an example of spoken expectation, right? Yeah. And it's something that's constantly evolving. I feel like the catchphrase in society right now is like the situation is fluid. Right? Meaning it's going to change, it's going to flow. That what is true today will maybe not be true tomorrow. What I'm talking about right now as we're recording this podcast could be outdated 48 hours from now whenever it's published, right? So the point is, whether it's, you know, family time and going on walks, or if it's exercise schedules, who's making what meals in the morning or the afternoon or the night.
Who's waking up with the baby?
Yeah, who's waking up with the baby? Yeah,
which we laughed because that was a conversation. Like we're at a interesting, I'll say, spot with June of where I'm still nursing, but she kind of takes a bottle, and I like to sleep in, but we also just have the expectation of I'm still nursing. So like I felt it was. Okay, I'm gonna explain what I was feeling just because I think other people might be feeling the same way, and I think it would help to hear how I was able to process out of it. I was feeling like in the mornings we were both playing who's gonna hear the baby first, or do you know what I mean? Like you're gonna close your eyes and pretend like you don't hear the baby, but that's not what was happening. That's what I was feeling like doing. But if I'm completely honest, 7 years ago, or whenever Emma was, I guess it was 6 years ago, when Emma was at this spot, I would have said, Austin, you're doing this. You are waiting for me to get her up. You are just more accusatory language. Is that the right word? Accusatory?
That is a word.
It is a word, right? But like that's how I would have felt. But now that I'm so wise and experienced with baby number 4, I know to say to you, I feel like this is what's happening.
And then give me the opportunity to say yes or no. Right. But that is indeed what's going on or not.
Right. Which 9 times out of 10, what I feel like is happening is not what's happening. Just so you guys know.
Yeah.
So
and it's good we talk about it. And
Yeah.
we usually talk about things, you know.
Yeah.
A good 80 to 90% of the time. I'd give ourselves a solid B+ on transparency and openness and, you know, marriage issues or hot topics in the family life that need to be discussed and have some clear communication on. But every now and then one like this where I'm neglectful in your eyes, but it's like or malicious, and it's like I wasn't trying to do anything or like sham responsibilities, you know. Because on the flip side of that, as you were feeling that, I was experiencing this idea of, or this feeling of like, hey, I've been around more the last 2 weeks progressively as the situation's evolved, and like I've been doing more of the dishes and cooking meals and you know, changing diapers and putting putting June, our baby, to bed, and like, you know, things like that, where in my eyes and sentiments was I was, you know, stepping it up and really doing more because I had the flexibility with my schedule. You know, I'd still go in the office and do work, and then I'd, you know, go to my accountability formations or whatever, you know, and do all those things, but I'd also try and, you know, weave in all these other opportunities and to be present with the family and lend a helping hand. But
then here I am getting upset that the one
bitter undercurrent against me. No, it wasn't that bad.
No. But yeah, so that was a good thing. One thing I've thought of in a blog post that's going to be coming out, will be out before this is published, but just with reintegration, some helpful questions with reintegration I think are helpful questions that can happen now. And these are questions we talked about before you deployed, and I think it helped a lot. And
I think, to interject, sorry, an important thing with the difference between the two, where there, like you said, there's some overlap, but like with reintegration, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to redeploy, and we have like weeks or months to prepare for that, and we have these conversations, we ask these questions, whereas this whole COVID-19 coronavirus, while there were warning signs as far as the implementation of safety measures and social distancing, and then different health levels on installations, it's been different across the United States and continues to be. But the reaction time was substantially different, where maybe it was on our radar for the international scale, but then all of a sudden it's, you know, in our backyard and we're reacting to it, right? Instead of being able to be on the offensive and, you know, making proactive plans, and all, you know, we're playing catch up a little bit. Which over the last, you know, week, we've really done I think a good job at kind of catching up to our situation and then being intentional in it, as opposed to, you know, fumbling, wondering what to do, and having these unspoken expectations that then can create bitterness or resentment or problems and
tension in the home.
And it's, you know, post honeymoon phase where like, the first 72 hours of like, telework, I'm free, I don't have to go to PT formation, or
this,
you know, whatever
awesome.
It might be, you know.
Sleep
for everybody's
in.
situation it's going to be different, but that's either worn off for probably most people or wearing off, where now it's like, okay, we're in this new normal, and it's probably projected to be for at least a few more weeks, if not, you know, months, if, you know, 2 or 3 months at the longest, I would hope. I mean, that it's not longer than that, but anyway, sorry. So you were saying questions.
Okay, so I think these questions can be helpful because we are needing to be a little bit reactive, but like you said, we can be intentional. And I think these can bring out a good conversation with you and your family, or you and your spouse. The first one is, what does a successful COVID-19 experience duration look like for you? And give everybody the chance to express what a successful experience would be like for you. Because it probably is different for each person in the house.
Yeah, and that can be taken as what success look like today and tomorrow, but also what does success look like a month from now when we're coming out of this, or 2 months from now, whatever that. I mean, there's no actual end date to these measures that everyone's under, but, you know, what does success look like, you know, today, tomorrow, this week, a month from now, 2 months from now?
Yeah. Another question is, what is your personal plan? Like Austin on the walk today, you were saying, you wanted to create a plan for PT and your personal study time and all that kind of stuff. Like, what does your plan look like? I've formulated a plan the last few days with the girls. The girls have schoolwork they have to do every day. I gave them some, like, a personal checklist that they need to do every day, because the first few days of craziness and them constantly asking me what,
a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, it helped though to create a plan, because, and it's not to say, like, there's a lot of talk online about whatever, I'm just going to let my kids watch TV. We're just going to do whatever because I'm not going to put my pressure on myself during this tense time, which I understand that. But personally, our family doesn't do super great when the kids watch a ton of TV or whatever. Like, they act up a lot.
So if we take a step outside of ourselves in this situation, we can see that it's actually a great opportunity. We have a chance to set goals, and we might have more time face to face with family, or we aren't. Some people feel bound by a PT plan or schedule that their unit's doing, and maybe right now is the chance to actually just get after it on your own or with a battle buddy or a neighbor, and do what you want to do, and really set these goals and achieve these milestones, or try something new, whether it's cooking at home or a different education approach with your children that's different than what the school provides. So it's a great opportunity that we can seize if we are aware enough and really intentional enough with the time that we have.
Especially since, like, this is a chance. I'm not even saying, like, you need to do more. It's a chance to do less.
Oh, yeah.
But to do things that actually matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, that actually to do things that matter. Not that what you've done prior to this didn't matter, but we get so caught up and almost on autopilot in our normal routines. That's why I said to kind of step outside of ourselves in the situation and, like, you know, almost Doctor Strange style. You know, all of a sudden your spirit's out of your body, and, like, you can kind of see what's going on around you, and, you know, name what's going on and how you can be better at taking advantage of the time. And that can be in spiritual disciplines, your physical fitness, your marital relationship, your parenting, the education approaches you take for your self-development, but also your children's development, a range of avenues in life. Yeah. Because it's not that... What?
Any more questions?
Oh, because, like, it's not that every single moment has to be ultra productive or whatever. Like, we have been going through the Marvel movies.
Take the time to slow down.
Yeah, take the time to slow down. We've been watching the Marvel, what would you call it?
The
series?
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Sorry, I don't know the
over
fancy.
10 years of amazing Marvel movies.
Yeah, we've crushed it in 2 weeks.
I don't know, a couple of weeks. It's been great,
2-3 weeks.
A couple hours here, a couple hours there.
But we've been going on family walks and talking with the girls, and we've been, the girls have been in the kitchen with me. You've been in the kitchen experimenting, doing stuff you've never done before. It's been a lot of fun.
And I've also been working. I don't want it to sound like I'm just neglecting my actual profession, though. I don't want to send the message that I'm just making bread and watching, you know, Captain America all day.
No, no, but there's
been time and opportunity to shift the work schedule, and training events have been canceled, so things have slowed down. The amount of to-dos, you know, has shifted, and so it has opened up the opportunity. Like I said, it's about seizing the opportunity to maybe engage in some of these things. Some of them are fun. Like, Marvel movies is not an essential thing. It's not, you know, in the eternal scheme of things, it's not going to make a huge difference. But it's fun. Yeah. You know, it's good to have fun.
It's a story we like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last question is a little bit different because we are more in a reactionary phase right now, whereas, like, if you were doing this with reintegration, you could talk about it far in advance before your soldier actually comes home. But what are you doing right now to set the conditions necessary to successfully have your COVID experience? And I think part of that is the plan, but that also is like, for me, I have a lot of things that I have to do with the girls for school, but I still need to stay sane. And yesterday it like hit me in the head, like, you have to wake up before the girls wake up, and you have to, which I've thought before and I've always known is right, but I really like my sleep, guys. Austin is,
which means we have to go to bed earlier.
Yeah,
that's not fun because we like to do things after the girls go to bed.
Right. But because of what I have defined as a successful COVID experience, I need to wake up 15 minutes and pray and study and set my intentions for the day before the kids wake up, because once the kids wake up, there's like, it's rude to say, girls, go away while mommy does this. Like, it just doesn't work with little kids. They're just too little, and it's unfair to have that expectation of them. But that's how I can set the conditions for it to be successful for me.
Yeah. And I like the idea of setting conditions for success, and learning through this whole process. Meaning, like, you know, some people are, I mean, we can be hopeful that tomorrow this is all done and we go back to our normal lives or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, my opinion, not going to happen. So what setting conditions looks like to me is, okay, what am I going to do next week and by the end of this month? What's my month goal? I set some goals by like quarter at the beginning of the year, you know, the first 3 months, the second 3 months. But those now need to be revisited, because I could probably accomplish more in some areas. I might need to reel back. Sorry, that's not a phrase. Reel back a little bit in other areas. And with my adjusted work schedule and hours, you know, I want to set conditions for success on what now I have up. Or I'm not talking clearly. I want to be able to set conditions for success for myself and my family in this moment. Yeah. My plans for April and May in January are very different now from my plans for April and May now. Yeah. And so that's what I mean by setting conditions. Some people might think, oh, it's too late. Let's just, you know, wipe the calendar and eat ice cream and sit here and wonder why we have to sit inside all day. No, like, carpe diem, seize the day. Let's, you know, do something more with it than that is my intent.
But I think it's really, 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 really important to have this conversation as a couple. Because even if you need to, like, think about it individually before you come together and talk about it, like, it's not helpful. Like, for our experience, it's not helpful for me to have the expectations I have, but then me not tell Austin, because then if I'm thinking I need to go to bed by 10 o'clock every day, but he wants to watch another movie or stay up later, then I could be like, oh, well, he's ruining my plans, or he's not supporting me, or blah, 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 blah. But we didn't talk about it, then that's not fair.
Setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
So, and not that everything has to be, you know, 100% in line, I guarantee we're going to not. But it's not a one and done conversation either. Yeah. I mean, this is a progressive situation that's, like I said earlier, that term that people use is it's fluid. It's a fluid situation. But, I mean, the more we talk about it and engage it, the better it is. But it's also good, I think, as the situation goes on, to separate ourselves from it. What I mean by that is not engage the news 24/7, or not, you know, go on the social media feeds and be scrolling through and clicking on all of the videos, good or bad, of what's going on about COVID-19 and coronavirus. I mean, just, you know, distancing from that, either daily or weekly, you know, setting aside some sort of time where you know that that's not going to be on the forefront or part of your mind. And eventually it'll probably start to fade toward the background, until, you know, big events happen, or, you know, big changes occur one way or the other. And then this new normal starts to set in. But just a few thoughts.
We did that last night. I think I set my phone down at 5:30, whenever it was I got home from the store, and didn't pick it up until we went upstairs for bed, but I didn't look. I think I did one thing, but I didn't read anything, and it was a really good mental break.
Yeah.
And give yourself those mental breaks.
And I've set intentional news time.
Yeah.
And I've put a time lock on it. 10 minutes type of a deal.
Yeah.
Things like that, where 2 or 3 times a day for 10 minutes max, check a certain number of news websites or emails, and then close it, call it good.
So someone on Instagram, I put a little square up so you guys could ask questions, and somebody asked a question that I thought should be read, and you should answer it because it goes along.
I should answer it? Okay.
So they said, how do you not smack your husband when he repeatedly leaves food from the fridge out? I think this is like the perfect depiction of what we are experiencing though, right? Like we are with each other more than we normally are.
Why do you want me to answer that?
Because you're a husband, so it's like, what is your point of view?
Well, I feel like this is a sticky wicket.
Sticky wicket.
One way I answer, it can go wrong either way. So, I guess I'm going to give a political answer. That's a good question for the family life chaplain. They have more education, training, and experience in that. So I'd probably defer to their expertise. So that's the political answer. My answer is, how you keep from smacking your husband when they leave food out is by not raising your hand. Okay, step number 1. You keep your hands down, you won't smack him. And then you discuss it. And hopefully it's been discussed openly in calm terms. It's really not those types of things. I mean, we're being kind of silly with the example, but I know it's a legitimate question, so I don't want to just treat it lightly. But it's a great example of what can happen in marriage, where there is a frustration, and then in the moment we get what's called emotionally flooded, right? Where all of a sudden, like, the blood starts to boil, the temperature rises in us, our skin feels flush, and we really want to smack someone or something. That's not the time to have the conversation. So we'll start with that, okay? The time to have that conversation is probably after a good night's sleep, after we've had breakfast and exercised, and we set a time to maybe discuss 2 or 3 things, and that's one of the 2 or 3 things. But be like, hey, Michelle, I noticed you've been leaving food on the counter, and I'd really like to talk about that sometime. Could we talk about it like tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Sound good? And, something like that, where it's, what is going to be discussed is out there, but it's not going to be discussed in the moment, okay? And that gives time to really address the issue with, cooler heads, less, in the moment emotion involved, and to, put probably a time parameter on the conversation, because it can spiral into this hour-long back and forth, scorekeeping type of a conversation, which doesn't help, because then it's, well, I might leave the food on the counter, but you never put your laundry away, so, and, that's not what we want either. So, I think another, bit of guidance maybe on this type of scenario could be that, I would really appreciate it if you help put this food away when you're done. What is something that I can work on? Lower your defenses. And open up to maybe I don't want to use the word criticism, but we are being critical if we're getting upset at what our spouses are doing. So being critical doesn't have to be a bad thing, but maybe be humble enough to say, what's something that I'm maybe falling short on, or that's a pet peeve of yours that I could work on as well. Maybe I'm putting the toilet paper on that's going over instead of under, or under instead of over, and it really drives you bonkers, and you've just never said anything for the last 2 years, or whatever it might be.
Sorry.
No. No, you do great. It goes over. There is a right answer to that.
Oh, I don't pay attention half the time. I'm sorry.
No, so I don't know. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
So my 2 cents on it.
I think those are good 2 cents. My initial thought was similar, like making sure you're having a conversation about what the expectations are, but then also just having a lot of grace and forgiveness. Like, part of being married and living together is loving each other. Like, I don't know if the spouse has any other job except for to give you a chance to love somebody else. And that love requires a lot of forgiveness because we're both faulty people. One of our favorite things to say to each other is I love you with all your problems and flaws. Like,
yes, I love you with all your problems.
Yeah, because you're never, no one is ever going to marry a perfect person, and no one's ever going to have a perfect marriage. You're just going to pick your problems. So maybe the problem that you picked when you got married was
forgetfulness.
And yeah,
you just forget to put the food back in the fridge.
Yeah.
But it can be worked on. So it takes time. A lot of these imperfections that we have to change, but we get there.
Interesting point. Thanks for coming, Austin. I would ask you what's your key to thriving, but you just answered that a few episodes ago. Do you want to answer again?
Yes, I do.
Austin, what's your key to thriving that you want to share?
Well, my key to thriving that I want to share is specific to the situation because that's the theme of this episode. Yep. So I'm still figuring out my key to thriving, and that's okay. And that's my key to thriving. It's kind of paradoxical, but you know, it's true. Like, I can be a very structured box set, you know, like this is how things are supposed to be. I'm a planner, you know, perfectionist in a lot of ways, to use that term. And to really step back and just say, like, you know what, I am doing, and that's okay. Yeah. And there isn't really a script written for this situation. I mean, there's, you know, previous generations have gone through similar scenarios, but not in the same technological age, and not with all the same resources or human world connection that there is in society of 2020. And so to really just kind of be evolving with the situation and getting better each day, or maybe having, you know, taken 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and not reaching and realizing my potential is actually helping me thrive. But being aware enough to just give myself that grace to do that. So
I like it.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
Thanks, honey. Well, all you waiting warriors out there, have a good week. Just keep trying, like Austin said. Keep trying. Keep giving yourself your best, your family your best, and know that your best is simply trying. It's not perfection. It's just trying. And remember, just because it's hard doesn't mean it has to be miserable. Have a good week, guys. Say goodbye to the people.
Oh, bye, people.
Hey friends, if you are loving the content here and want some more Waiting Warrior action, check us out at Instagram or Facebook. The handle is The Waiting Warrior, no S, or check out the website, thewaitingwarriors.com. And make sure you get on our mail list. We have some really awesome things coming up. Have a great day.